Couple reminders for you. Those of you in the room, please raise your hand. We will get you a microphone so you can ask your one question with a follow-up. Those of you on Zoom, please use the raise hand function, and we will call on you as appropriate. And with that, Coach Freeman, your opening statement.
All right. It's good to be back. What a unique experience and a special environment it was in Las Vegas for the Shamrock Series game. And as I told our program, that's what makes us special, and that's what makes this place unique. And so special shout-out to our fans that showed up there and that unbelievable stadium. That was really, really cool, and it's obviously even better to come out with a win. Players of the game for offense was, no shocker, Michael Mayer. Defensively was Jack Kaiser, and special teams was Zach Yoakum. And ended up having six kicks and 6 touchbacks. So Coach Mace voted him special teams player of the game, and good for him. He's done a great job really this year. And so, I think back to the game, it's great to see, really our team overcome a little adversity. You start off the game, they score. We go up 3-0, they come back and score. So it's 6-3, and we were able to really buckle down defensively and prevent them from scoring the rest of the half, and offensively kind of got it rolling. And, and then towards the end of the game, it's an 8-point game. It was a 5-point game at one point, and we kick a field goal, and to see us, come up with some big stops at the end of the game was really good to see. And I was really pleased. I've said this after the game, just to see, we're going to continue to ride the backs of our O-line and our D-line. And at the biggest moments, they showed up. That last series in the fourth quarter, to get that fourth down stop, our D-line did a great job. And then to be able in that 4-minute offense continue to produce first downs is what we expect, but it was really, really good to see, to put on film. And so, going into this week, moving forward, it's a rivalry game. And we'll have a motivated Stanford team that is really actually, if you watch the film, and I haven't watched as much as I need to yet, and I will. We return, I think, about 6 a.m. on Sunday morning. And so, but I know, just watching the Oregon State game, they should have won that game. And it's going to be a talented football team that is going to come in here and present a huge challenge for our football team. So, as I told the guys, enjoy the win for a day, and we have to move forward. Today we'll practice. We didn't practice yesterday because of the late arrival, but today we'll meet, put the BYU game to rest, and we got to get ready for Stanford. So with that, I'll kind of open it up for questions.
Third row on your left, Tim Priester.
Coach, in the broadcast, Jason Garrett was making reference to the scan offense. I assume he got that term from you or from Tommy. Could you just explain what you're trying to accomplish there and how that helps you offensively?
Yeah, it's different types of scan or tempos that we have offensively. One being that, you want to get lined up fast and then kind of see what the look the defense is giving you and be able to check the play from the sidelines. And we have that, and we have a true, we'll get to the line, and we might not even have a play call, that we truly scan. But it's a different types of tempo that Coach Reese really kind of uses multiple times a game. And so it's not just one. I think with 3 or 4 different type of tempos, a huddle, get to the line with no play call, and truly, look to see what the defense is doing. We'll tempo, and if it's a look he wants, we'll call it, or if we need to change it, we'll change it. And just so the ability to say, hey, we have more than one tempo offensively to try to take advantage of what we're getting schematically, defensively is something that it's really, really been effective for our offense.
Drew Pine started 3 games, and it coincides with, and maybe it's coincidence, but it coincides with the offensive line playing its best football. I just wonder how maybe Drew Pine has helped the offensive line in terms of timing or setting protections or formations or just leadership in general. Yeah,
it coincides. I don't know if Drew Pine's not the quarterback. Our offensive line is just getting better, and that's over the course of 5 games, and that you see a group that's just getting better and better and better, and 5 guys just gelling and really communicating and executing at a high level. Drew's doing a great job of getting us into the right protections, but that's an area we got to continue to grow at. That's the number one thing we had as an emphasis this game is make sure we are in the correct protection to protect yourself. Protect the offense, but protect yourself. And so it's an area we'll continue to get better at, but they're all continuing to have some cohesiveness and be on one accord. And it's showing with the execution.
Second row on your right, Tom Noy.
Marcus, you've always had confidence in Drew Pine, but what's he done maybe the last 3 weeks where you've looked at it and said, I didn't think we'd see him do that this early?
I think he's starting to make some plays where he's improvising a little bit. I know the one he's falling down, he throws the ball to Audric, and we're kind of like, whoa, okay. That's one that we thought he's probably going to take a sack. But that comes with confidence. I think when you start making the right decisions, you take care of the football, now you're seeing them start to make plays. And what you're also seeing is some receivers and a tight end make them look really good, and he'll get credit for that. But that catch that Jaden Thomas made for a touchdown was a heck of a catch. And I've always said it, man, quarterbacks will get praise and take blame for maybe certain areas that they don't have to. But, it's good to see some guys making him look good and him making some plays.
You mentioned the other night with the maybe a little uncertainty as BYU had the momentum. At what point does the doubt kind of decrease and you see the look of, we're just going to figure out a way and just get this done?
Yeah. My feeling and their feelings might have been different. I don't think the offense at any point over the headset, just being on the field, lost confidence in being able to continue to execute. I know we threw the interception, but we were driving. We're driving down the field. The ball gets tipped. They make a heck of a play and intercept the ball. But the offense really was just driving, doing a really good job. Defensively, I know there was some frustrations in terms of the 2 touchdowns in the third. I think that was third or fourth quarter. But there was some frustrations in I challenged them, and they challenged each other. Like, we can't continue to allow this to happen. We need a big stop, and they went and got a 3-and-out, which was huge for their momentum. And then, again, that last series when they get the ball to 3rd and short and 4th and short and they get stops, that's what we needed them to do. And so I don't feel confident. I wouldn't say confident. I don't feel good until the game's over, especially if it's a 5-point game or 8-point game. I'm holding my breath at times, but I think the players, their confidence is a lot higher than mine, and that's just the reality of it.
Second row on your left, Tyler James.
Marcus, you mentioned Jack Kaiser as a player of the game. He played inside more with J.D. Bertrand out the last 2 games. Why has he been able to have success with that? And then does that change what you guys think you could do with him moving forward?
Yeah, I think we're gaining more and more confidence with him. He's doing a good job in there. And Jack's an extremely intelligent player. He's probably, if not the one of the most athletic linebackers we have. That's why we played him a lot at Rover, where you're playing him out in space. But he can do so many different things. And what you're seeing now is him playing middle linebacker and getting everybody lined up, but also just executing at a high level. And, we're going to have a challenge, and it's great. And it's healthy competition to say, okay, if we end up with 2 linebackers on the field versus Stanford, who's going to be the first 2 going out? Because JD's back, and he came in the second half and played really well. Jack, overall, for the entire game, played really well. Maris is a guy that we need to play better, but he's playing well, and let's have a little competition to see who's going to be the first 2 to go out there.
It seemed like the defense was playing pretty well overall, and then had the 2 big touchdowns they gave up by pass and run. What goes into that? Is that just the difference with how thin the line is between success and failure from a defensive standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, the touchdown, the first touchdown is just a lack of execution. It's not the play call; it's just an execution error, and so you're not pointing as a head coach. I'm not pointing the finger at the player. You're looking at the coaches and saying we didn't coach it well enough, and that's on us. And that we've called this we've called this defense multiple times, and we didn't execute it. And what happens when you don't execute versus a good team? Goes for a 40, 50-yard touchdown, and that's what happened. And so it is a very fine line between executing and giving up a big play for a touchdown. Then the next series they score, you got a team 3rd and 18, and you don't convert, you don't stop them. It's a heartbreaker, and we have to be better. We can't. 3rd and 18, and you're on defense, and that's something you have the utmost confidence in. You're in a really good position, and so that's where we got to be better. And then what happens over the course of that drive, they drive it, and it ends up being the 4th quarter, and we misfit the touchdown for another big play run. And so it all goes back to execution. if you execute on 3rd and 18, we're not worried about the touchdown in the fourth quarter. If we execute on that play call for the long pass, and so we're not talking about 2 touchdowns, and again, for me, I challenge the coaches. It's not that kid's fault. We got to coach it better. And then in turn, that kid's going to say, you know what, he did coach me. He did teach me. I got to execute better. And so it really trickles downhill.
3rd row on your right, Tim O'Malley.
Coach, you were talking about the linebackers and getting JD back. Prince Colley's gotten, I think, 2 handfuls of snaps the last couple of games and obviously made a notable play in this last one. Yeah. What is his next step to join that? Is there room in rotation to have 5 guys in there?
Yeah. I challenged him last week, Prince. You continue to build trust in practice. There is no such thing as a gamer. Your team needs you to be a great practice player. And that's my challenge to Prince, and that's my challenge to many other players in our football program. Everybody talks about Michael Mayer. Michael Mayer is one of the best practice players I've been around. That's what we need our young guys to be. And for Prince to go and make a big play like that, man, it was good to see. He's a talented football player. And he had a really good week of practice. He played more this past game than he probably ever has. And he's still challenged. You got to challenge yourself, man. We need great practice players because that builds confidence in your coaches to put you out there in the game. And that's what I hope to see him do because, listen, talent sets the ceiling of how good you can be, and Prince got a high ceiling. Continue to put the work in practice to gain confidence in your coaches and to make you a better football player. And I think he can be really special.
And then just to follow up the status of Tariq Bracy after that contest.
He'll be questionable. Pulled his hamstring, and I just found out he had a virus illness, and so was probably a little bit dehydrated, and he was playing a lot of plays running around there. And so they said that it's a grade 1. It is not a really bad pull, and he's kind of freaky in terms of athletically. Hopefully he'll bounce back. But we'll see how he feels today. I saw him yesterday. He was confident. Was a little bit sore. We'll see how he feels today, but right now he's questionable.
Front row on your left, Patrick Engel.
Marcus, when you see a play like that, long touchdown, or maybe not everybody's on the same page, or maybe a couple weeks in a row where there's something like that, you mentioned challenging the coaches. Like, what's the message or even the mindset of you guys to try to fix those instances or what goes into getting everybody on the same page in a spot where maybe they haven't been multiple times?
They were on the same page. Everybody was on the same page and didn't execute. And, the guy that had that responsibility knew what he was supposed to do. And so let's figure out why. And that's what I just said on the headset. Figure out why he didn't do it and what he was thinking, what he saw. He might have saw something and I thought he was running out route. I tried to jump the out route. That's not what we want, but at least we know why. If he starts saying, I didn't know what to do, then that's a serious issue. Jay didn't know what he had to do. He had to carry number 2 vertical, and he didn't do it. He was jumping a different route. And so we have to make sure that he understands, hey, you can't jump the out route right now in cover 2. You got to make sure you carry that guy up the seam. And so it isn't – if I heard over the headset, hey, I don't know why he did that, he has no clue what he's doing, and Jaden's saying, I didn't know what I was doing, then there's serious concern. The challenge is, hey, let's coach it better. Let's coach it better, and Jaden got to execute it better, and he will. He's going to be a great player.
And when we saw Jaden in the spring and even in fall camp, he's certainly not somebody who lacks confidence. So in that regard, when maybe some things haven't gone his way, how have you seen him respond to that and kind of respond to those moments like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think anybody, when you have a little bit of negativity, man, you're going to lose some confidence. But Jaden's a confident kid that has to continue to play at a high level, and he will. He's a good football player. He's playing more than probably 90% of our freshmen right now, and Reek. I don't know if Reek went down before that play or not. No, I think Reek went down after that play, but Reek, I think, was taking a break that play, and we were rotating him in there. But Jaden's. He's still a confident kid. He's a really good football player. We have to continue to make sure that we're coaching him the right way and he's executing the right way.
Front row, far right, Eric Hansen.
Hey, Coach, I wondered if you could get us up to date on Howard Cross's status. And also, is Joe Wilkins, does he have a setback or is he just not gotten into the rhythm of earning playing time yet?
Yeah. Howard will he's expected to play. We expect him to play. We'll see how he feels today at practice. He tested it pregame and just did not feel confident. Him or the trainers felt confident that he could execute what we needed him to do. So we held him. Expect him to be back. As far as Joe, just no setbacks. Joe's a guy that has played a lot of ball for us and previously, and I think he will. I challenge Joe and I challenge Coach Stuckey to continue to communicate, hey, what he has to do to get into the rotation. There's a lot of guys that want to be in that rotation that have to earn it in practice.
And I wanted to follow up a little bit on something Tyler and Patrick both were kind of getting at as far as we have to coach better, we have to play better. I know last year when you were the D coordinator, I believe at some point kind of early in the season, you said, I maybe need to simplify things here a little bit. With this particular year, did you ever get to that juncture, or is there a point where you just say, you know what, they need to learn this, we need to live with it, they need to execute it? What's that balance like? What's that decision like?
Well, I think it's a little bit different when you become the head coach, is that, you challenge your coordinators to figure out why the execution isn't where we need it to be. As the defensive coordinator, I challenged myself and said, okay, what do I need to do to help us play better? And that was simplify what we were doing, and as the head coach, I sit down with Coach Reese, I sit down with Coach Golden, Coach Mason, and say, okay, we had a mistake here. Tell me why. Is the player confused? Is it a lack of coaching? And always evaluate. It's the same thing after BYU, right? And that's what I challenge our coaches, and I'll challenge our players today, is that same lens that we have after Marshall, after Ohio State, we got to watch after BYU. And it's tough because when you feel a certain way after Marshall, it's easy to go and say, all right, I'm already angry, right? I don't like that, and we're going to challenge each other. Right now, everybody's like, oh, man, we felt good after yesterday. Not today, we moved on, but, we feel good after a big win over a really good opponent. We have to ask those same critical questions. What happened here? Why is it happening? What do we got to do to fix it? It could be we have to simplify. It could be we have to coach it better. It could be we have to meet with the kid so he understands exactly what he has to do. But I know you guys have been around long enough. I'm not going to sit here and point the finger at the player. These players have class, they have life, they have everything else going on, and we get them for a couple hours a day and try to get them to execute what we need them to do. This is our life. This is what we do. And so we as coaches have to meet that player. Now, we got to challenge them. We got to challenge them, man. We got to push them. Physically, we got to push them mentally. But, I think it starts with us challenging ourselves and saying, okay, if he's not performing at the level we need him to perform, let's figure out on our end why he's not doing it.
Fourth row in the middle, Pete Byrne.
Hey, Coach. Jaden had a really big game for you guys, wide receiver. And I'm curious what you've seen from him over the last couple of weeks daily that's led to him getting more opportunities like he's starting to get now. And then because of his size and his strength, is he a matchup problem that you guys really are looking to take advantage of?
Yeah, Jaden, I think of my time with Jaden last year as a defense coordinator. I didn't know much about him. And then throughout the course of the year, I keep hearing about this Jaden Thomas. And he's a big physical, runs great routes. And then as we got into the spring, same thing in fall camp. But the production wasn't there, and he's having great practices, but the production's not there. And what you're finally starting to see is he had 3 catches, but they were big catches. I know one was a touchdown, one was a third down. I can't remember the other one, but he is probably, I'm not going to say but one of our best route runners and can be one of our best receivers, and playmakers on offense. We just got to continue to improve, but he's got to continue to do it in the game because he's practicing at a high level. He's one of those guys that are practicing at a high level. And so when you see a guy that's playing a lot, maybe doesn't have the production in the games, but is still playing a lot, that means he's earning that trust in practice. And Jaden's been a guy that's practicing at a high level. I think what you're seeing now is the results of that in the game.
You mentioned Stanford being a rivalry game for you guys. What emotionally, what goes into that maybe is different from another game?
Yeah, I think it starts with respect and rivalry. I'm fortunate, and I played in one of the greatest rivalries in all sports, and that's the one thing that Coach Truss used to always do. We respected the rivalry, right? And when it was that week of that game, you understood what that rivalry meant and the history behind it. I think that's the same thing for this game, is that they got to understand what the Legends Trophy is all about. I had to. I didn't know much about it last year. I knew Stanford was a good team. I didn't know about the rivalry. And we have to make sure they understand what the rivalry is about, what we're playing for, and then respect their opponent. You know, when you say embracing a rivalry, it's about respect for your opponent. And how do you respect your opponent is about the way you prepare. You know, I'm not looking at a record, and I'm not looking at anything other than what you see on film, and then you respect them in terms of the way you prepare for them.
Second row on your right, Angelo DiCarlo.
Coach, you've mentioned throughout your press conferences over the last few weeks, and just did with Eric before, the constant need to evaluate everything to see if you guys can improve things. I'm curious, in those evaluations, have they led you to your preseason decision to go with Tyler Buchner as the number one quarterback, and whether or not it should have been Drew Pine from the get-go?
No, I don't question that decision at all. That was earned. That was earned through practice, and we made a decision, and sometimes the results, you know, can put a mask over your eyes and cloudy the process to getting to that decision. And I know we didn't win that game in 3 quarters that Tyler played, but Tyler Buchner earned the right to be the starter through preparation. Now, Drew Pine's done a superb job, and he's done an excellent job at leading his team, and he's earned the right, obviously, now to be our starting quarterback, and has done a great job with this opportunity. But no, I don't question our decision in terms of making Tyler the starter to start the year.
We'll stay there with Mike Burdino.
Marcus, in light of the Jacob Lacey thing last week, I wonder how much of this time of year is just maybe even being proactive with your guys who might be having those kind of thoughts. Do you have to intercept some of that thinking before it goes too far, and roster management-wise? And do you kind of have a plan? Is everybody transparently up to date on the red shirt plan versus what you see coming for them?
I think it's a reflection of you have to have a relationship with those guys in your room. And, if a guy's frustrated, you'll know it if you spend enough time with them and you talk with them, and you have the type of relationship that you got to have with those guys. And I'm not just talking about football and frustrations. There's so many things going on with these guys, and we have to be here to support them more than just football. But it starts with having a relationship and building that trust. And so that's what I've challenged the coaches to do. Hey, we've got to make sure now that we're asking those hard questions. Part of having a relationship with somebody is being able to be honest with them. But honesty comes from trust, and so trust is earned over time. And we have to earn that trust with our players so that we can have those honest conversations. They're going to tell us how they really feel. And so, again, this isn't something that every single day we walk around saying, is somebody going to transfer red shirt? And, it's just a conversation and conversations that you have to continue to have. We look at every single freshman and say, hey, is it best for them to play another game, or can we save their season? Is it best for them to not use their red shirt? And we're always going to try to make the best decision for our players, right? And that's the reality of it. We don't want to, do something that's detrimental to our players. And so every week we're looking for those freshmen and say, hey, how many games has he played? How many plays is he playing? Do we want to play him this 4th game? Do we not? But for the majority of them, if they're playing, they're going to continue to play.
And then Clarence Lewis, you talked about keeping Jaden Mickey's confidence up, but when somebody's used to starting, had a long streak, was so essential, and now the drop, potential pick 6, and how do you try to boost his confidence? How important is it for Mike to keep him going in case you need him, when you need him again?
Yeah, that was a heck of a play that he it could have been almost a Sports Center type play, man, that pick 6, but he did a great job with having outside leverage, doing his job, doing exactly what he's coached to do. Then he's got to make the pick to make it a spectacular play. But that's an example of what you got to do. You got to make sure you praise the things they do well, and you point out the things they got to improve at. You got to make that catch, and you got to take it to the house. But you know what? You aligned correctly. You kept your leverage. You did exactly what you're supposed to do right until the end of it. And that's what we got to improve. Hey, what do we got to improve? We got to make that catch and take it to the house. And so, you know, C. Lou is, again, I think I've said this a couple weeks ago, but that's an example of what I want everybody to be, right? There's 75% of people in our football program, players that want more. There's coaches that want more in life. I mean, everybody wants more, but if you embrace your role, I'm not saying be satisfied, but if you embrace your role and you work tirelessly at it, I mean, you work your tail off to be the best that you can in your role, more at some point is going to come to you. And C. Lou's a great example of that. You know, a guy that's been a starter for 2 years, got a freshman starting in front of him. You know, he's still a big contributor to what we're doing, but he embraces. He's not satisfied. He's in Coach Mickens' office every day saying, "Coach me, make me better. If I'm not starting, make me better. And if I am starting, make me better." That's what you want, you know. But a guy on Saturdays that's embraced the role that he has.
Final question today will come from Zoom. Michael Ferrara, Berg Sports Network.
Coach, obviously you're focusing on Stanford, but what's the biggest thing you're going to take from the Shamrock series? And my part two question is, Michael Mayer broke the record, has been a phenomenal player at the University of Notre Dame. What's the biggest takeaway that you've watched throughout his career?
I'll start with Michael Mayer. He's a great practice player. He's got God-given ability. That's where it starts. You know, he's been blessed with unbelievable talent, but he's a great practice player that wants Coach Parker and Coach Reese to make him improve. And Coach Parker told me last night, Michael Mayer texted him early in the morning, I'm sure, when he woke up, saying, "Hey, what points do you have from the game that I need to improve at?" Not saying, "Hey, Coach, I broke the record. Did you see this catch? Where can I get better at?" And the great ones do that. The great ones want to be told how to get better. And Michael Mayer is a great example of that. As far as the Shamrock Series game, I mean, it was a great experience. You know, you almost had a bowl game feel, but it was majority home crowd. And, you know, it was a home environment in terms of the scoreboard, the side, all those different things. It was a home game, but at a neutral site. And it's a great stadium. I had a chance to see Mark Davis after the game and said, "Man, this is a beautiful stadium," you know, and able to tell him that. And again, I was honored to be the head coach of that Shamrock Series game versus a great opponent, and came out with a great victory.
Thank you, Coach Freeman.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Recording